What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another C programming tutorial. This is Ashish from alibrary.in, and in this tutorial we'll see how arithmetic expression works with pointers. Okay, so no, it's not okay, I'll just tell you how it is. For example, I'll just take an array integers, and make sure when you use arithmetic expressions with pointers, make sure you have an array, because it'll be useless if you don't use an array over there. Because if you take individual elements and try to use arithmetic expressions, it might not work, because in the memory location there are chances that they are not consequently placed as arrays are done. Arrays are, they are placed one after the other. Okay, so now I've taken an example. I've just taken an array. I've just called it V, and it stores 5 elements. And then let me assume that there is a pointer, and I'll just call it V pointer, and it'll point to the first element. It'll point to the address of the first element of the array, that is the 0th element. Okay, now this one you can do it this way, or as we all know, if we just type the name of the array, it'll point to the 0th element. So you can do it either of these two ways. It should be equals and V. Okay, you can do it either of these two ways. Okay, either of these two to point to the first element of the first address of the array. Okay, and now let's assume that the initial location of the 0th element of this array is 2000. I've just assumed that the array, it is at 2000, so we have pointed it to the first element. So what this would do is this would point to the location, memory location 2000. Okay, now in the normal arithmetic sense, what will happen is if we add 2000 plus 2, it should be 2000 plus 2, it should give out 2002. Okay, but that's not the same case with the expressions when you do it with arrays. Now guys, what happens with when you use arithmetic expression in pointers is when an integer is added or subtracted from a pointer, the pointer is not just incremented or decremented simply by that integer value. Okay, it's not like I showed you. If it is 2000 plus 2, it's not just 2002, but the integer times the size of the object to which the pointer refers, and in this case it refers to an integer. So what will happen is it'll do 2000, as I said, the integer times its size. Okay, so we know by size of operator, we just figured out that integer takes 4 bytes, so it'll be 4. And we all know that precedence value for multiplication is higher than addition, so no need of braces, and it'll print out 2008. So what will happen is it'll point to this memory location. It'll point to here. So v of 2 will be pointed when you use when you do 2000 plus 2. It'll point over here, v of 2. Okay, the same thing will happen if you just put 2000, or I can say, what was that, v pointer I named it, v pointer. If I do plus equals 2, this would do the same thing as we discussed. It'll just point to 2008, and it'll point to the third element of this array, the the array which we named it as v. It will point to the third element of the array. Okay, and now suppose the pointer is over here. Okay, now I'll just use the tool to show it. Now suppose the pointer is pointing over here. Okay, where's that? Yeah, there it is. Now suppose the pointer is pointing over here. I'll change the color. Okay, so suppose now a pointer is pointing here to 2016 location, or the last element of the array. What we can do is we can simply put this, we can change the statement as minus and 4. Okay, so what this will do is it's pointing at 2016, so 2016 minus this one, so this will result in 2000. So I'll come back over here and point to this location. Okay, so that is how pointers work with expressions. Now you can do the increment and decrement in the same way. You can just put plus plus, so it'll point to the next element from here to here. Okay, and decrement the same way from here to here, same way, minus minus. Okay, so now let's just take an example to find out how it works. Alright guys, I've just written down the code for to save the time. Okay, so let me just build and run it, and then I'll run you through this. Okay, so now keep one thing in mind: both arrays and pointers are interchangeable. The compiler, the C, treats both of these as almost same, the single subscripted array or the pointers. Now if you put a single subscripted array, it can be treated as a pointer itself. Okay, so I'll just show you what I did over here. I'll just close it. So there you go. I've just initialized the pointer. I didn't say how many elements, but it automatically fills it, and I've just put in the values 10, 20, 30, and 40, and I've initialized the pointer. I could have done this in the same line, but just to show you that there's a pointer name, and this will just show that it's a pointer. So that's how it does. So what this would do is this would point to the first element of the array. You can do it this way, or you can put an ampersand and put a 0 over here. This would do the same thing. Okay. So now I've taken two variables named I and offset. Both are of integer type. Everything over here is of integer type. Now first thing what I'll do is I'll just print out the arrays. Okay, so yeah, there you go. I've just printed out the arrays. It'll print out the one by one, and the zeros 10, 1, 2, 3. So there you go. Those are the values. Now in the second set, what I've done is just to show you that arrays itself, as I said, arrays itself are pointers. So what we did here was we just made variable offset. Okay, just put in a variable named offset, and then we have looped through it. So this is, we know that we are just given the name of the array as B. So as you can see here, array is treated as pointer over here. So both are interchangeable, and if I put 0, if I add 1, 2, 3, it'll point to the different elements of the array. Okay, it'll point to the different elements of the array as we discussed. Now the third is as we deal with arrays, we put subscript, and as I said at the beginning when we started this program, that arrays and pointers are interchangeable. Now in this step, what we have done is we have just interchanged. So we have given subscripts to the pointers. Okay, it'll still print out all the values in the array. Okay, now the last notation, it is called the pointer or offset notation, and in this notation what will happen is we just add one, as I showed here. With the arrays, we just added the different values of the offset to point to the different elements of the array. We do the same thing with the pointers over here. It'll still print out the same values. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, that is, it'll point to the elements of the array. So this was just to show that both arrays and pointers are interchangeable, and how arrays and pointers are related. So now we'll just move on to the next part. We'll just see how pointers are related to functions. Now, as I said, in this we'll deal with something pointers of functions, pointers to functions, I mean. Now, a pointer to a function, it will contain the address of the function in the memory. Okay, it's the same way as we deal with the arrays. Now we know that the starting address of the array will be in the name of the array itself. Okay, similarly, a function name is really the starting address in the memory of the code that performs the function task. Whatever task you give to the function will be performed, and the name of the function itself will be the address of the function. Okay, now the common use of function pointer is in so-called, what do you say, menu driven system. Okay, now this is an example of the menu driven system, and what this will do is it'll just prompt the user to enter a number between 0 to 2, and it'll take the number using scanf, as we all know that, and then what it'll do is it'll jump over here, and according to your choice, it'll print out or whatever the function task you have given, it'll do that task. The pointer to each functions are stored in an array of pointers to functions. And now let me just tell you what I did here. These are the, you can predict it yourself. We have just prototyped 3 functions, and this is the main thing. This is, I guess, the soul of all of this program. And what this is, I'll just tell you. We have done here is we have just defined 3 functions. Okay, we have just called it function 1, function 2, and function 3. And what this will do is this will accept an integer. This 3 functions, all of these 3 functions will accept an integer, and it will return nothing. Okay, I'll just repeat it again. All of these 3 functions, function 1, function 2, and function 3, they all take an integer and they return nothing. And now the pointer to these 3 functions are stored in the array f. Okay, So as I've defined the pointer to these functions, it's an array. It takes 3 elements, function 1, 2, and 3, and uh, and we have just stored it in the array. Okay, then we have taken an integer. We have just called it choice to get the choice of the user. So now what we have done here is we have just prompted the user to enter a number between 0 and 2, and we have asked them if they have to end it, they'll have to press 3. Okay, so now we just scan it and we'll take the choice, whichever choice you take, and over here what this will do is this will do the same way. It'll dereference it over here. So what it'll do is, if you, for example, if you take the choice as 0, so this will go to f of 0, the function of 0 that points to the first one, the function uh, 1. Okay, and the choice was 0, so what this will do is it'll pass the value of the integer 0 to this one. Okay, I hope that wasn't too confusing. So I'll just tell it again. If you pass 1 over here, this will point to function 2 now, and the integer value will be passed over here. The value 1 will be over here, and it will be put here. Okay, so I guess I'll just print out the value of that too. So all I've done here is just to show you that the passed value in this choice will be passed into this integer. I've just entered the value. So now let's just build and run it. So you see, enter a number between 0 and 2. I just press 1. I'll put enter. Yo, you entered 1. You're welcome in function 2. So this would print out this one. Yo, you entered, and the number was 1. We entered over here. So I'll print out the, now I'll print out 1 over here, and it says you're welcome to function 2. Now the 1 was passed in this. It came from here. So function of 1 will point to this one, function 2. F of 1 will point to the function 2, and then the 1 will be over here. It will be passed to this integer. Okay, similarly it goes on all these functions. Okay, so that's it about pointers, guys, and in the next couple of tutorials we'll just do programs, to get stronger on all these concept functions, arrays, and pointers. The next few tutorials might be lengthy, but just stick with me so that you can have a good hold on the language, and you'll learn many big programs, and because of which it'll be easy for you to solve any programs. You get any problems, you can do it easily. Okay, so see you guys in the next tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any doubts, please leave a comment below on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye.